All right, so hey everybody. I definitely tried to do a Friday the 13th video last night and had the camera miraculously crap out on me about 3 or 4 times, and then the uploads weren't going through. I really want to try to keep this under 10 minutes, so I'm probably just gonna cut through this small talk and get to it. But thanks for joining in with me. I want to just kind of take a peek at what the weekly energy looks like for the starting point of today, September 14th, all the way until the 21st. So let's go ahead and take a look. All right, High Priestess, beautiful card. You know, there could be some silence this week. The High Priestess to me is, oh, wow. It's someone who doesn't really need to say anything. It's someone who deeply reflects on what it is that they already know within themselves. It is a highly intuitive card, so a lot of you could be kind of getting your clarity through internal processes, dreams, feelings, your intuition. It's kind of just knowing. It's just knowing what to do, where to go, what's going on around you, even if there's nothing that you can really digest, see, or translate. You know, it's definitely seeing beyond the physical. So take some time with that. I really do think this is in correlation with the energy of the Pisces full moon, because Piscean people often are very intuitive people if they are not in their detriment. So just continue following your intuition this week. I think it's going to be very important. This could also be connecting with other people who are psychics, intuitives, or even just kind of exposing some secrets this week, which possibly could be uncomfortable. And the reason why I say that is because we do have the Ace of Swords that comes up after that, and that is a card that is all about victory. It's also about truth, but as we all know, a sword cuts both ways, so it can be for better or for worse. I do think with what the energy is that is present right now and coming up with Saturn going direct, I think it's for the best. So I will say though, this is a victorious card, so if you've been in the dark about something, or if you feel like there's too many unknowns that you can't really quite figure out, then this is your yes. So whatever question you've really been deeply reflecting on, it's probably going to be a yes, or it at least is going to be a victory of some sort in you obtaining more information around what it is that you're seeking. Let's see what the final card is for this week. And we have the Magician. This is actually an insanely beautiful combination, if I'm going to be honest right now. The Magician, you know, a lot of people, I will say, if I'm going to be kind of like a tarot nerd for a minute here, a lot of people really correlate the High Priestess with the Hierophant as the divine couple. But to me, I really see it as the Magician and the High Priestess. That's just my personal opinion. If you want to argue with me, save it and take it somewhere else. So there may be some interesting things this week, or interesting developments surrounding going within and really kind of manifesting the results that you've been desiring. If there are any of you out there who are within that group or collective of individuals who does work with either some form of manifestation or positive thinking or writing down your goals on paper, if you are someone who is a creator and someone who utilizes the tools around you to get what it is that you want or desire, I think you're going to be insanely successful this week. Also, too, be mindful of communication here. The swords really are about communication for me. And with the High Priestess being more of a silent, I don't need to say anything, I just know. And I don't have to tell you or explain how I know what I know, I just know. Versus the Magician, who can be kind of... He's in his upright, so I don't think this is necessarily negative, but the Magician can... I mean, he's a fucking magician. He's an illusionist. He can be kind of a trickster in certain ways where he can pull the wool over your eyes if necessary, or at least really excel in the art of misdirection. So just go within and heed your intuition. If something does not look right or feel right and you feel like you're being misled or misdirected, take a step back and really look at reading between the lines. To see what is actually going on. I'm not going to take that because I didn't even really pose the question. So let's see the clarifier here for the High Priestess, just to see if we're on the right track. So the High Priestess is clarified by the Knight of Wands and Judgment. All right. That's a very interesting clarifier for that. Wow. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to explain and kind of regurgitate the information that really comes up with this. If you guys had a feeling that something was coming, if you had a feeling that some form of either a visitor, an opportunity of an offer, or even just the feeling that things were really about to get moving, this is your yes. Once again, this is your yes. I think you saw something coming, or I think a lot of you have seen or felt something coming, and it does look like it's kind of making its way to you. Now, knights are typically messengers here. The Knight of Wands is a bit of a... It's an energy that only exists based upon what is fueling it. So it definitely has the tendency to either burn out. And once it burns out, it kind of does a U-turn and goes in the other direction of whatever desire has relit its fire once again. So it can be a very evasive energy. It can be something that pops in and out of your life. So I would suggest you being careful with that. And maybe that's why we have this energy of really seeing through and reading between the lines with an individual's intention. And like I said, this absolutely, if it correlates with a person, it does not necessarily have to be a relationship. I do feel like with us moving into Libra season, there is a lot of shaping up relationships for us, whether it is friendships, interpersonal, romantic relationships, or business partnerships, or the people that we collectively create with. That is going to be the highlight and the focus. So just be very mindful about what is being said, how it's being said, kind of the actions that these people are actually taking, and whether or not that's something you can rely on or trust. Let's see, coming in, what the Ace of Swords is about. And Justice. Wow. We're just really taking it to the limit this week. I'm going to be really real with you guys. We have Saturn going direct this Wednesday on the 18th. And when I see Justice, I fully relate that energy to karma. And if you notice, she is holding a sword, and we've got the sword branded there. Now, I do think justice is going to be served this week, if whatever that looks like for you, right? I think sometimes we really need to take a step back and see what our intentions are with the justice that we desire. You know, there are people out there who can be very extremist, and it's kind of, you know, this person did this to me, this person did that, I hope they pay. And usually it's in a very highly negative and kind of toxic energy type of way. But with this, what justice is really about, it's about balancing out the scales. It's an energy stepping in and saying, hey, I understand that you've been through this and I'm going to make it right. Or I am going to try to create situations or shake things up a little bit so that you can get the truth that you really do need to get some form of justification or clarification to your experience, especially if there was a lot of suffering attached to it, or just feeling like you were done really wrong. So like I said, this can be in any form of a relationship. Once again, family, friends, business partners, love relationships. I think too, this is very interesting because it may be a situation as well where if there has been a lot of back and forth energy or very evasive energy, they could either be getting some really negative karmic payback and kind of coming back in to either tell the truth or fix something or try to justify it and make it right. That is all up to you on how you want to respond to that, by the way. I am not a person who sits there and urges people to go back to something simply because it looks good. I think a lot of you are really going to have to heed your own personal feelings and intuitions once again about whether or not you can trust whatever this is as it comes in. You're going to have to go by your own gut feeling. But either way, I love that. That justice is coming up with the Ace of Swords. That's a very strong pair for me. So this week is going to be intense. I'll be honest, this week is going to be intense, but I also feel like energetically it's going to be great because it's going to allow whatever old energy has been present in your life to kind of either wrap up so you can have something new and fresh, especially with judgment. Judgment can be the final judgment on something, or it can be a resurgence of energy into a thing to go into a different direction. It's like being given a second opportunity, right? We think about the people who've had near-death experiences and more times often than not, when they come back, they feel this renewed sense of either drive or purpose. Even if they don't know exactly what direction they're going in, it simply is this thing of, holy shit, I can't believe that I'm actually alive and I get the opportunity to do things differently. And, I'm sorry, while I was talking, I was shuffling and we just got a card that really fully clarifies what I'm speaking of, and that is the World. Now, the World here, to me, it's honestly absolutely wonderful. I'm kind of speechless. So now I'm really wondering if some of you are going to be speechless this week. I feel like some of you are really going to be speechless this week. And maybe it's the damn full moon, but now I'm getting really emotional. So I think this week is going to be really impactful for a lot of you. If it's not an emotional impact, I understand these are collective readings, so it's very hard to really pinpoint. It's not like everybody's going to be having this experience, but for the majority of you will. And if I'm going to divvy it up, it can be, there's going to be a sense of being able to really release whatever your experience has been, whether negative or positive. And it's really you kind of manifesting a big change in your life to really close out a lot of these cycles that have been very repetitive in your life. Too, for me, this is a big culmination process. This is somebody really taking their place in the world and kind of looking back on the way things have been and, kind of saying goodbye to it and just really being grateful for the lessons that they've learned. And now that they're moving into this new, fresh stage of life, they can do it freely and they can do it without holding on to anything that's happened. It really is a renewed, fresh sense of life and purpose. And with that being said, I really hope a lot of you are getting the things that you really desire and need right now at this time, whether it is a fresh new start with something, whether it's recognition that you feel that you've needed or worked incredibly hard for. I know a lot of times in life we can feel like we've really strived for something over and over and over and over again, and we feel like we never really achieve what it is that we're setting out to do, even when we have the best intentions behind it. So I really hope that everybody out there is kind of really hunkering down, really settling down into creating the kind of life that you want when this new start comes up. You know, whether it's with old people or newer people entering into your life, to me, that doesn't really matter. It just simply is about you chasing your own personal happiness and the fact that you're being very mindful about how you create this. To another thing with that being said, just always make sure that your intentions are in the best place. I know that sometimes we can get caught up in our desire so strongly that we, can't necessarily see the forest for the trees, but I just want everybody to really be mindful of that. I think we are in a really powerful period of time where things are changing at a very rapid rate, and what we do with that is very important. So everybody out there, do the best you can. Thank you for tuning in. Any comments are very, very welcome in my opinion. Unless you want to be a troll. If you're going to do that, fuck off. Secondly, any constructive criticism, considering this is my first video, I would love to hear it. This is pretty new to me, kind of like being more open with this on such a big scale. So anything that you guys would like to see more of, or anything that you feel like I could change, I'm very open to hearing it. And just thank you for joining me, and I hope everybody has a really lovely week. Okay, take care of yourselves.